Okay, so I brought an object into my scene, and for my shadow catcher object, if we just look at the properties, oh, come on. If we just look at the properties for the shadow catcher object, I've turned unseen by rays on so that it's not having any effect on the object, because I want all my lighting to be happening using HDR Light Studio for purposes of demonstration. Currently it's totally black because there's nothing being reflected. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is add a light. Rather than just pick one of these, I'm going to come in and pick this light here, which opens up this incredible list of picture lights, which are images, which you can also use for your lighting, and they're HDR images, so that they've got the ability to ramp them up and down in terms of their exposure. Let's just pick, say, a softbox here. So these actually are photographs of a softbox from a lighting situation. I think there's some umbrella lights somewhere. Oh, there it is, under umbrella. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one, select it, and there it is. Now currently it's acting as a backlight. I wonder if that's because when I go and have a look here, I've got light paint enabled, and it was in illumination mode, so I'm going to change it to reflection, and just start clicking on the object. Okay, so yeah, we're getting this nice stripe down the middle. Not something I'd probably use an umbrella light for, actually, because there's other lights that are better designed for that kind of feature. So I might just place this as being something to maybe light up the top here. Okay, now I'm going to increase the size of it, so I'm just going to go to width and height. So I'm just overall making it larger. As you can see, the hotspot here is getting bigger, and I'm also going to soften it, so the wattage, I'm going to bring that down. Whenever you use HDR lighting, you've got to be aware of the fact that these hotspots can in 3D they can bring out artifacts in the lighting, so it's best to usually bring those down a little bit. That just gives you a little more latitude when you're doing your photo retouching. When you take this into Photoshop later and you want to do tone mapping or whatever, it just gives you more latitude to play around. And I'm going to add another light. I'm going to use a picture light again. I like these picture lights because they just bring that element of realism into the into your scene. Now I'm going to use one of those soft boxes. Maybe here we are, under softbox. So I'm going to pick this because it's a nice long strip. Yeah, maybe this one. So click on that, it's selected, and there it is. It's just sitting in there. And I want to sort of put it. I want it to do that sort of long strip that goes up the middle, and I can widen it. So I can come in here and make it wider, and I can make it higher. So it goes the full length of this object. I think you can also position it using the latitude and longitude over here. So I can raise it up, I can slide it left or right. But actually I am going to use light paint position, just make sure I am in reflection mode, and just sort of try to get that in the middle there. Okay, so that's about right. And again, I'm going to bring my wattage down on this. Quite a bit down, actually. You can see, even when I bring it really, really way down, so it's looking grey, dark grey here, it's still quite bright here. And that's a nice sort of feeling that I've got there. I might just try to widen it and see what that does. Yeah, that might help a little bit. Now This time I'm not going to use a picture light, I'm going to use one of these. So the difference here with these lights is they're synthetic, so they're not picture lights, they're not taken from real life, they're being computed, and in a sense that gives us a few more controls that the other lights don't have. So with this light selected, I'm going to say light this side of the object by clicking there, and I'm going to make the light higher or longer this way, so we're getting the lighting coming down the side there. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to play with the fall off. So as you can see at the moment, it's got a sharp square edge here. Well, I'm going to bring the fall off down so that we basically lose that sharp edge. I can get rid of it entirely, and then I can bring the wattage down as well, so it's not quite so bright. And the other thing too is, if I want to introduce a bit of color, I can either just color the light by clicking on color here, and we have some options for color. I'm not going to go into this too much. I might choose Kelvin and just pick a sort of a bluish tone there. So this light now is slightly blue in tone. Close that, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay, that looks okay to me. And you'll see, but because I toned it right down, I've lost some of the effect here, so that might come back if I increase the height more. Yep, so we're getting a bit of lighting down there. And let's maybe use the rim lighting now, because let's use that feature. So I'm going to, firstly I'm just going to create a light, so I'm just going to click on this one. The main difference between these lights is just the shape. You know, there's hexagon, round one, and a box, so that's the main difference. They all have these controls. Okay, so well, right away, just by accident, it sort of put a rim light there, so that's pretty cool, but let's use light paint to do that. So I'm going to click on rim, and I'm just going to come in and click on the object, and you can see it's putting a rim light wherever I happen to click. It's attempting to just click in the middle. I guess that'll put an even toned rim around everything, which maybe is what I want, so I'll just do that. Again, I'm going to just take my fall off away. I'm going to bring the wattage down on that light so it's not so powerful. I tend to do this a lot when I'm lighting, is I'm tending to bring my lights down, you know. That just might be me, so it's not necessarily the way you should work, it's just the way I like to light stuff. So I'm trying to light this fairly evenly, but in a way that it doesn't look totally like this, that we've got the same sort of lights on this side of the scene as we do on that side. I want to have some variation, but I do want it fairly evenly lit, you know. Since we're on this white or light background here, it's not going to work to have too many black areas in this particular case. If I was shooting this against black, it might be a different case. Okay, so I'm going to put some lighting down here. I'm going to use a synthetic light again, so I'm going to use this one, and just click over. Well, I'm going to have to be in reflection mode, and click over here, and right away that's put that reflection right there. Now, just because I click on here doesn't mean that it's only going to put a reflection on this part of the object. It's also going to put reflections elsewhere. Okay, so you've got to be aware of that, because you know, no reflection is just going to be isolated to a particular piece of geometry. You know, this is like reality here. So wherever you stick your lights, they're going to have effects. They're going to build up upon what you've already built on. So just be aware again of that as well. So that's quite nice, that strong lighting there. But again, I'm going to take my fall off away a little bit. Okay, because you'll see when I take my fall off right off, we get this sort of gradient look there, which I like. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with a sharp edge as well, but I'm going to go for the slightly graded sort of look there, and bring the wattage down as well. Further that I bring that down, the less of a hot spot I get along there. Maybe I like that hot spot a bit, so I'm going to bring it up a bit more. And And then maybe I want to put some lighting in this area, or maybe I want some illumination in that area. So we're going to go to light paint mode, we're going to change it to illumination, and we're going to add in another light, and I'm in illumination mode, so I should be able to click down there. Is it in illumination? Yep, it is. So I should be able to click down there and get some illumination, which I'm not getting. So illumination, in the case of a chrome object where everything is reflective, it's not really, it's kind of pointless using illumination. So we'll just go back to reflection, and I'll click over here. And that's going to come right down because I don't need a big bright, I just need a sort of some suggestion of something going on there. And I'll widen it out as well. So I really just want to, yeah, make it a little more. I might even try to centralize it more. There we go. So that's looking pretty good there. Just going to do this leg now, so I'm going to put another light in. This time, just for the sake of it, I'm going to use a picture light of some kind, just so that our colorations get a little different. So I'm going to choose this one here, and I'm going to click on the leg. Okay, and well, maybe I'll just put it down there. I'll try that. That looks pretty interesting. Well, actually, it looks a little confusing in terms of product image. Maybe it needs to be more centralized about there. So bring the wattage down. So you'll see on these picture lights, you don't have the fall off control and stuff like that. You just got opacity. Opacity is just making it more see-through. Keep it solid in this case. And I'm just bringing the wattage down, and so you can see that we're getting a bit of the coloration in there. The other thing that's nice about this is you can turn these lights all off so that you can just sort of see what that one particular light is doing, you know. So that's another way to work out what your lights are doing, so you can build it up. These layers of lights, they're kind of like Photoshop. So you'll see that particular light that I just placed in there is currently, I'm just going to move it up actually, just so you can see. You'll see how it overlaps that one in the background. Well, if I was to bring that down and put it underneath the umbrella, it would be behind, you know. So, which I won't do. Actually, that looks pretty interesting behind there. It's just adding some interesting light on the leg there without affecting anything up here. So I'm just going to bring that back down to where it's more on the leg. Maybe just a bit up there. I quite like that. Yeah, about there actually. That looks pretty nice. So so that's an interesting bit of coloration going on there. So just be aware these are like Photoshop layers. So these lights will sit on top of or behind each other, or you can have them be just like in Photoshop. You can have them be additive, solid, or additive. So say with that that umbrella light there, if I make it additive, you'll see that I can see the other light through it, underneath it, okay? But I don't want it to be additive, so I'm going to just make it solid. And you can also change the colors of these lights by playing with it with solid color up there. You can play with the gradient. I'm not going to go into this, I'll leave that. You can find this information on the HDR Light Studio website anyway. I just really want to show you it in action, being used inside Lightwave. So some of this stuff you're going to have to figure out yourself, but it's very easy. The learning curve on this program is very, very easy. So it'd take you a day or less. It'd take you one session to work it out. So I need to add some more lighting in some of these dark areas. So I'm just going to, well, one thing I could do actually is I could just click on here, open this up, and put the gradient back in there. See, when the gradient background is in there, it does a lot of that fill, but it's too bright, so I just bring it right down, like that, right down. And that's filling out the dark areas. Now I don't like this because it's just too you know, it's just overall grey. So I wouldn't, I personally don't like that. I'd possibly bring in a HDR image of something that was sort of generically, you know, just sort of grey tones of colour or something. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back with my transparent background and just try to build it up, okay, with lighting. But these lights now I'm going to use not so much for lighting, but just to fill in the dark areas. So they're going to, in a sense, simulate walls or whatever, you know. So I'm going to maybe go to the picture lights and just pick some things here. So I'm going to go again with the softbox. Maybe these, where were they? Not the spotlights. Yeah, these sort of shapes here. So I'm going to go with something like that. Select it, and I'm going to place it over here. And this is effectively going to become not a bit of lighting, but it's going to pretend to be a wall or something. So I'm going to just bring the wattage right down, so it's just a grey tone, you know, right down. There we go. So it's just a grey tone. I might just bring it up a little bit more, and I'm going to widen it out. Okay, I might bring the width down a bit. You'll see this light is obscuring that other light, so I'm going to put it underneath. Okay, so that's sort of taking care of that side, and maybe I'll just do a similar thing on the other side. So I might just use that light again. So I'm going to just duplicate this light. So I'm just going to click on this. We've duplicated the light, and we're going to place it on this side. Okay, and again it's sort of obscuring this light here. So I'm going to, just to be safe, I'm going to put it underneath like that. It seems to be doing the job there. I quite like this dark strip in the middle, but I'm not sure I totally like these dark strips on the legs here. So I'm going to again try to use this light. So I'm going to duplicate it again, and just click here this time. See what that does. That's sort of done a pretty good job actually. It's again obscuring other lighting, so again I'm going to bring it down and put it in the background. Okay. The only thing though is that we're losing our logo here, the Samsung logo. So I need to have some lighting in there. So I might just use this softbox technique again. So I'll just duplicate that one more time, and I'm going to click down there, and I'm going to bring down the wattage. So I'll just use the numbers because we're right down on the end here, so using the slider now is going to be quite difficult. So I'm going to just put that down at 12, and we're seeing the logo a little bit. Also this light is obscuring other lighting, so I'll bring it back down into the background there. The only other thing I'd want to do is go to my light setting and change it from a distant light to another type of light. So I'm going to just go for DP infinite light there, and just change the angle to say 50 to get some softness there. So we get a nice soft shadow. But the thing is, because I've now got this, what I consider to be a nice lighting solution, I'm effectively done here with HDR Light Studio, so I don't need to have the plugin working anymore. So what I can do is I can click on render here, and what that's going to allow me to do is, and you can choose different sizes. So yeah, I'm not going to use the super large one. I'd use that for an actual project. For the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to click on this size here, and you can change it to a HDR image. You can browse your library and save it somewhere, so it's going into this folder. So I'll just call it Meteor mic lighting .hdr and click save, and then I'll click render. Okay, so that what that's done is it's actually rendered this image as a HDR image map now. So I can actually just turn this off. Oh, one thing I neglected to do the entire time was to save the project, which you should do. So you save the project as, and I'll just call it Meteor Mic Lighting. Okay. It'll save as a HDI file, but because we've rendered this out now as an image, I can close this down and actually disable HDR Light Studio. So disable it, and I'll say this function closes HDR Light Studio and clears all project data, and I'll click yes. And you see we've lost our lighting, so I just come now to Windows backdrop options, and I'll turn the HDR Light Studio environment thing off. I don't need it anymore. In fact, I can actually get rid of it, remove it, and I'll go to textured environment, click on there, open that up, open this up, and we're going to use a spherical, and you should find that we've got, it's already, this is a nice thing that it's actually loaded in the media mic lighting HDR image map in there. So click on that, and there it is, it's sitting there. You must always make sure this is on Y. Okay, the axis should be on Y. Close that, and we have exactly the same lighting solution that we had before. So that's HDR Light Studio for Lightwave. And the thing about this plugin is it's going to change the way you think about lighting. It makes HDR image maps user-friendly. It means that you actually have control over them. And the other thing is that it just gives you more options. And it means you work faster as well. I mean, you get to a solution like this all in the one interface without having to, I didn't once leave this view. I've never had to go into another view and move stuff around or move a light around or whatever. I've just been looking at this. It means that I'm really focused on the image, which is always a good thing. Okay, so that's it, and thanks for watching, and I'll say goodbye.